Brent. My wife and I own What's Up magazine, a music magazine in Bellingham. What's Up turns 15 in March, which is crazy. I ended up going to college, which taught me how to write and observe, but didn't actually teach me how to get a job. So, came out of college, I didn't have any definable skills, and I was just a big music fan, so I was so into music and so into the bands that were happening at the time that we felt it was natural. I mean, this place is ridiculous. You go to some other towns, you just don't have any real understanding of what all Bellingham has to offer, not just musically or artistically, but, you know, the mountains and the ocean, and it's a really unique part of the world.
Being an artist living and surviving, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like everyone says, oh God, I really respect you for doing what you're doing, and really glad that you're doing it, and thank you for doing it. And then it's also like, they know because it's kind of a sacrifice. You know, you give up on relationships, and they know that you're you know, not contributing to society in the ways that society sort of expects you to.
My experiences in school were valuable, and I wouldn't trade them. Oh, no way.
I don't know what I'd have done without a teacher like Gary Evans to say, you're perfect in your present moment of development in the universe as we know it. You know, it's like, oh, okay. And I think that's also being, you know, you're a trumpet player too. We understand whenever we teach a trumpet lesson, every time, the first time I work with a trumpet player, they're old enough to understand this. I say, okay, you know, they make a sort of farty sound, and you're like, that was good because, you know, you're making the first steps down this long journey. But I said, you know that feeling that you may be having right now, a discouragement maybe from not being able to produce the sound that's in your head? Get used to it. In fact, more than that, learn to love it. You will be constantly faced with the struggle between what you hear in your mind and what you're actually able to physically produce. And so that's the path of the trumpet player. We work on that every day. We work on, you know, getting our chops so that we can produce what we hear, and, you know, and I don't think we'll ever get there, you know, because as soon as we get to where we can produce something that we hear, we're hearing new things. I was fortunate enough to see Dizzy Gillespie when he was 75. It was like his, you know, last year of life. He was in the Jazz Alley, and I got to watch him perform. And even though I was very young, I was able to see that he was still reaching. You know what I'm saying? I could tell that he was still trying for something that was just out of reach, you know? And I'll never forget that. This elder statesman of jazz, this ambassador of American music to the world, was still trying to find that.
My name is Domenic Barbero. I own a video production company here in Bellingham, although lately I've been doing more freelance cinematography. I lived in LA for a while doing music. I was kind of debating how I could use all these skills that I'd acquired over the years, so went to film school at Western back when they had the extended ed. Took a lot of things from that program, assimilated them into my own realm of thinking. The biggest resource for anybody, I think, is just personal motivation. It was just long hours locking myself up in my room, just studying, researching, trying to see what I could do better. My whole life I was like, man, I can't wait to get out of Bellingham. And I go to a place like LA, and it's just like the people are like skeezy and creepy, and there's no emotion there. It's like everything is ugly. You know, nobody's out there for the best intentions. They're only out for themselves. Since then, I pretty much just stayed close to Bellingham. You know, I've gone lots of places since then and done lots of work, but I feel like Bellingham is just the best place to be.
For a college town, there is a ridiculous amount of support for music. You know, like I said, I've been here for 20 years. It's just part of the culture. It's part of what Bellingham is that there's a love of music. It's kind of like Seattle, you know. It's just there. And then you just have also a sense of do-it-yourself spirit here that I think makes people do something. And if you already have a fabric of, or already have that kind of base of people being into music, and then you have enough people like myself or Craig or Cat C at Makeshift or whatever who say, okay, well I'm here, and while I'm here I'm going to do something cool, and I'm into music, so I'm going to do something cool for music.
My name is Sam Lax, and I am the saxophone player for Acorn Project. Well, I love the Northwest. It's about as Northwest as we can get. But really there's a vibrant community of artists and musicians in what is a pretty small town. And I think it's a unique subculture up here, so it's pretty cool to be able to showcase it as much as possible. If you're looking at the national perspective, the Northwest kind of gets forgotten a little bit, but in the same light, we want to really be showcasing as much music and art from our local community and surrounding region as possible, because it's fantastic. Well, I've lived here for 10 years now, and I came here to go to the university, and the town itself really changed me in a lot of ways. I don't know what it is that is so special about Bellingham, but everywhere I go and travel with the band or just on my own excursions personally, it's kind of funny to see how this unique little community seems to impact people all over the place. You ask people if they know about Bellingham, and you're going to run into a lot of people that do. They don't forget it. I don't know what it is, but it's something special for sure. All I can say is that we're gracious and thankful that we've been able to do as long as we have, and we're going to just keep going. Well, I mean, a music festival is more than just music. I think there's a lot of different types of art to showcase, and in Bellingham, I mean, there's a lot of different factions that come into the community. So a lot of different groups. You know, we've got it all. So why not involve as much as we can? Basically, I mean, we want to keep it local, and you know, there's local dance troupes, local circus troupes. There's plenty of local businesses that we want to help and showcase, and that all just is coupled in and goes right along with the music.
Just like an untapped gold mine, and just, you know, if you were to take the creative way of getting things done business-wise that is from LA and apply it to like the actual resources we have in Bellingham, you could do remarkable things here.
In Bellingham, a lot of people are kind of moving through. You know, my project reflects the sort of tide pool. My friend Rick Aiken, who played keyboards in the Lucky Seven, he calls Bellingham kind of a tide pool, where it's like waves wash up, keep some people in the pool. You know, it's a very nourishing pool, and then the waves wash out. You know, I think the biggest key to my survival as an artist in Bellingham is performing in other towns, and actually being able to see the fact that Bellingham is one beautiful town in a beautiful world.
Even with people leaving and coming and going because it's a college town, it just kind of builds on itself, and I think it's a large part because there's a base, a foundation of love of music. History, I think, has a lot to do with it. And then the more it just goes, the more it goes. And now you've got people like Craig Hawley at Shakedown and Makeshift, and it's a lot. And Blue Horse and Redline, you know, Green Plot. That's a stupid amount of venues. Stupid amount of venues for such a small town. So, but I think if you put it down to one thing, it's the history. It's just part of the cultural fabric of what Bellingham is. The weather sucks, so you got to stay inside and play music.
I can say one thing is that when I was working with Yogoman Jordan Rain, I toured and performed and recorded with him for many years, and he would always say that it had something to do with being in the Northwest under the clouds in the winter, and you need to do something to produce some kind of sunlight, something bright and warm and danceable and exciting. I feel like that Yogoman's philosophy, like the way he put that into words, really matches my sentiment.
Bellingham is one of those magical places where, you know, there is a huge art community, and I honestly believe it's because people are happy. I feel like, you know, in a place like Bellingham where you've got so much rain and you spend so much time inside during like the winter months, I mean, it forces you to get creative, and it forces you to find something you enjoy.
I really think it's just the community. I don't think I'm the only one that falls in love with it. I think a lot of people do. And I'm sure if you keep giving this interview to a lot of other people here, you'll get that same answer. There's something about the love in the community and the group mentality of supporting each other. I would just say, just do it. Go for it. Get yourself out there. You know, I mean, there's plenty of different venues. Obviously, we love the Wild Buffalo. But I mean, in terms of getting in touch with the community, it's just going out into the community and being personable and open and allowing opportunities to come to you.
This is the DK and Morgan show. I'm DK.
And I'm Morgan.
And we just did a set of comedy.
45 minutes at
Boom. Moonfest, Moon Mountain, 2012, out in the woods. If you're looking for the place, it's Take Highway.
Don't look for the place.
Just
if you're not here
get a
now,
ride.
just give up.
Yeah, that was fun though.
Yeah.
How do you really feel?
It was fun. There's some awkward moments, but it was fun.
We did the Meltdown years and years ago. I think it was the first year, second year.
Anytime you can create and share that with people, that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, and for me, there's also this. It's such a thrill to like collaborate with other people.
See, I'm not a fan of that part.
Yeah.
Ugh, if I could just do it on my own, I would. But.
So I'm looking for some new members. If
Yeah.
anyone's at the DK and Morgan show.
DK and Blank show.
But you know, people laugh. You know, there's great music and they move, and I love what music does to people. But I think laughter does a similar thing where it connects people. I think I'm hoping next year there's 1,000 people. These mosquitoes need more blood than us. That's what I'm saying.
More people here, a lot more people here. I mean, there's 20, 30,000 more people just in Bellingham from when I came here. That growth, everything's, you know, there's more bands, the whole 9 yards, just more venues. Oh, God, there were very few venues back then. But it's just progressed, you know? I guess that's the simplest way. It's bigger. And the people who've come up apparently like music. They're coming out to shows a lot. And there's a bunch of great bands now, but you know, there wasn't as big of a scene at that point. And with that not being as big of a scene, it's pretty astounding to have like just ridiculously good bands. Ridiculously good bands. Death Cab, and Eureka Farm is you know, Seattle music scene didn't happen on accident. There's just something that's part of this area that loves music, you know? Even back in the 60s, you know, the Sonics and Paul Revere, and there were great bands here, 70s, I mean, so what was it, Whittle Groove, you know? Great bands, and whether they're recognized or not, there's always good music.
I like the nature of Bellingham. I like being near nature. I like having nature as my baseline. I like being able to experience the seasons. I like being able to experience, you know, wildlife. I like different kinds of climates that are within the very, you know, county, Whatcom County. Got mountains, oceans, water, rivers, streams, lakes, every kind of thing that you can think of. Fields, you know, farmland, valleys, mountains, everything. Trying to really look at it, trying to really witness it is a way that really feeds my creative process.
Bellingham is such a ridiculously supportive and positive and nurturing. Like, people want you to succeed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that is such fertile grounds for creating when you feel supported and not judged. And I mean, because creating's hard. Creating whatever it is, whatever your art form is, it's really hard. And so you already have your own self-critic, but then when you have a crowd of people that are just like rooting for you.
Yeah, they want you to be up there, and a part of improv is like, you know, just making a lot of mistakes and exploring stuff, and with supportive audiences that makes it fun. You know, they're along for the ride. I think Bellingham is huge for that in the music and comedy scene. And the comedy scene's much newer.
Theater and everything, yeah.
Much newer, you know, with the Upfront. And we've had an awesome opportunity to try a lot of stuff out.
Bellingham is awesome. There's a lot of stuff to shoot here. I mean, you've got downtown, you've got, you know, the water, you've got, you know, just if you go to Eastern Washington, you've got like deserty looking stuff. If you go to Oregon, you've got some sand dunes. I mean, all within just a few hundred miles, you could shoot anything you've ever wanted to shoot and make it look like anywhere. The only thing with Bellingham is people use the same cliche things like over and over and over again, you know, and to me that's okay, I guess, but when I'm doing stuff, you know, I'd rather have it not look like Bellingham and have it look like anywhere else. That way it's believable no matter where you watch it, and it's not taking you out of the story. People that I work with are incredible and great and super talented, but for the money, you know, I can't afford to pay tons of people. Otherwise, like, I wouldn't be making any money on the side, which, you know, I couldn't stand doing. Where I might end up, like, if I want to not stress myself out, I'll be in Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, somewhere. Move to where the work is. That's great. I'm just a little sad that, you know, we can't make the work here. It just starts out as something you spend some time on and you make some cool stuff, whereas, you know, at a certain point, if you spend so much time doing it, if you can make money doing it, like, you might as well, you know. But people, if people spend as much time trying to sell and market themselves as they do making the product, it'd be a whole different world.
It's a very unique situation. You're not going to find this type of talent anywhere else. And I firmly believe you're not going to find it anywhere in the United States. It's because there is the market for it. And there's enough going on that to sustain us. You're just not going to find magazines like What's Up anywhere else. We're hitting the college kids. We're hitting a market that other papers don't hit. And I think there's a really nice loyalty that's built up with What's Up, and I think people who advertise understand that people who read What's Up will read it every issue, and they want to be in that. It's not something that's on a weekly basis, you know. And I mean, Carrie Ross deserves a hell of a lot of credit actually as well, because she's having her being the editor or the music editor of the weekly has helped propel things as well. Everybody is doing really a lot of interesting and good things, and everybody's found their niche, and hopefully people will survive.
I mean, I got some session work, so to speak, that I got paid for in Portland, and I made, and I got involved with March 4th pretty fast when I got down there, so I started getting a touring situation happening, and I was able to make some money touring. I got paid to be a member of the Yogoman Burning Band, and that was very, very good. I live by this motto: eat it up, wear it out, make it do without. I have a pretty low budget in a lot of ways, you know, but when I don't have a big budget to work with, you know, you have to be really creative. Keeping a low overhead is one of the keys, and however that could be done. I don't pay rent right now. Yeah. Of course, I am more or less living out of my car, but that's for right now. And my thing is mainly just, and I learned this from my wife. She has taught me to follow my feet, and that is a kind of an idea of having faith in your moves. So that's what we try to do, is just walk forward on the behalf of something greater than ourselves. That's a different thing for everybody.
That's the other thing that's different with bands. Bands never tour. We started the magazine, bands didn't ever tour. Just played around, petered out after a couple of years, and that was it. Now bands, they tour, and you know, it's a natural progression, but it's one that's makes the music scene sustain itself. It's that kind of dedication, that kind of effort, you know, that I don't think people realize. And I mean, there has to be some sense of trying to hustle shows and stuff like that, but people have bands, if they're struggling, maybe one of the reasons they're struggling is because they suck and they need to work hard. I've seen more bands that didn't work hard and thought they should have be owed something than bands that worked hard and didn't worry about didn't feel like they were owed anything, you know? But that's such as life too. If you work hard in musicianship and then you spend some time essentially at the office. I look at Acorn Project as a perfect example, you know? They have their email list, they contact people as they're coming through town, they try to get stories written about them. They let people know. You know, I think maybe that would be the thing, is that you just let people know what you're doing. You get to that level when you're touring. It's different between being at home one, in getting people to care, and being on the road and getting people to care. One of the things that you have to do is be on the road consistently, like they are. If you come through once and then you don't come through again for a year or two, nobody's just going to remember who you are. So they play, 150 shows a year or something like that, playing the same areas over and over and over and over. And with that, now people in Colorado really care about who they are. We're between Seattle and Vancouver. So if you're going to come up this way and you're not too big of a band, there is a natural route.
Yeah, well, it's an intense relationship. There's a lot of close quarters for long periods, and it is actually a moment for many people to show their true color. It's warrior training, you know, because you are in the thick of it. You have so many things that are working against health, you know, as far as your diet, your sleep schedule, your consumption of poisons. If you lose track of all of those, or even 2 out of the 3, you're sitting on a one-legged stool. You know what I mean? So I've seen a lot of people crash. I've crashed. Sometimes the difficult stuff carries onto the stage, and those are probably the most difficult times. If there's people on the stage that don't want to be there, for example, or don't want you there, for example, then chances are it's a grueling 2.5 hours. I'm working on it to have the same sense of responsibility whether I'm on stage or not, you know? I don't try to change myself to be a performer, you know? I want to be as authentic as I can. I want to be as honest as I can. I want to be as true to myself as I can, my capital S self, you know, the real self, not the self that I think I am. And sitting there knowing that I probably don't know what my real self is, allows for that mystery to unfold. It allows for that growth.
You're looking to get hired and work on stuff, like you got to constantly prove that you're better or somehow different than your competitor, because you're gonna have a lot harder time competing when there's 100 other people like you versus being something totally different and having people search you out for that difference and uniqueness, which I can't say to this point I've done anything like super new or super fresh that's never been done before, but at the same time it's like constantly growing.
You get known by being good, you know? FedEx didn't do massive promotion and didn't do a bunch of that stuff. They just were good, you know? They worked hard, they got into their head, you know, their own head, and got stuff out. And instead of trying to be like anything else, and I see that all the time with bands, it's like they have the desire to be musicians and be famous, or even in a relative sense, so they don't allow themselves to be creative. And it's one of the lessons that's really easy to know when you're 42 and not when you're 22, you know? But it's like you gotta get out what's in your head and fuck everything else and then tour.
I guess to me it's just like a feeling of just not caring. If you tailor everything to what the mass public wants, you're gonna have this incredibly bland result. Be progressive, be yourself, do what you want to do. Don't be afraid to like have people judge you or like take weird critiques.
I tried to build the quality of it, you know, the changeableness of it into it by naming different projects along the way. Funk Revolution, Crawdad Farmers, you know, Lucky Brown and the Bucks, the LBs, Lucky Mystery Now Orchestra. In a way, if anyone's paying attention, they'll get the idea that that is a way to say that this is something different. To think about what we know as what we are, these little pieces of pollen on the ocean of the universe. It's like we know so little. We actually, there's more unknown than there is known. So I align myself with the unknown if I can, you know, as best I can. That's really the essence of it. I align myself and my art and my project with the unknown. and I believe that helps make room for the truth to sort of bubble up to the surface, or at least for us to catch a glimpse of it for a minute, for just a minute. And that little minute, you've been there. The window opens, you peek through, and that makes it all worth it. All the struggle, and I can't even talk about struggle. I don't struggle. I mean, I turn on the faucet, man, and water comes out. You know what I mean?
There's no limit to what you can play here, and then somebody is gonna find it. Somebody's gonna like it, and somebody's gonna find out about it. And as long as you don't suck. You've got Louis Ledford, who is just awesome, playing Monday nights at the Green Frog. You've got, you can go to the red light and see Falling Upstairs is total jazz freak out there, You guys, or Acorn, or Lucky Brown of the Wild Buffalo, and then you go over and maybe FedEx is coming through the door at Shakedown, those are distinctly different sounds. And then you've got like punk rock bands at the Cabin, and hip hop at the Club. I mean, that's like 7 different genres that on any given night you can find those 7 different venues. That's insane. Two things: people are playing it, and people are going to see it.
Well, the thing is, I could give it up at any moment. Probably be okay with it.
Why don't you?
I think I do. I do in so many ways. I do. I hang it up. I give the trumpet back. I mean, my friend Louis Ledford, another good musician I get to play with. We talk about it sometimes. And he once corrected me. I said, sometimes I need to just give it back. Give it back to where it came from. What made you think you ever had it in the first place? That's totally Louis. So he was able to set me straight on that one. It's like the source of inspiration is constantly flowing.
It's really fascinating, actually. I mean, because there's so many different aspects, and there's so many different aspects where things have changed, and not turned necessarily, but just grown. And with that, it's enabled more growth to happen because these markers were hit. Subdued string band has 11 to 12 years.
The idea of success, first you gotta ask yourself, what's that? It's different for everybody. Success means, it could mean, having a 100-acre ranch. It could mean being able to have bread on the table that night. It could mean being in the battle of basically one's, and I'm not going to limit to music, one's struggle with their medium. It could be any medium, but it's like the struggle with the medium and the act of going into that struggle results in art. I kind of do wish that I could come up with a relationship to my art that was a little more holistic or like I publish, for example. I have publishing, and that has been a good thing for me to sort of do at some point. So there's, keeping my business affairs in order is important, and that'd be important for anybody, in the world.
Something that they want to make money at or like start a career doing, don't give stuff away for free. Like, that's the main thing. Like, you make a song, instantly it's on Facebook for free. Never, ever, once you give it away for free, will you ever see anything back from it, which is where the business model comes in. I feel like everyone who's in Bellingham who's an artist has no sense of business. And that's the fundamental flaw of the art community in Bellingham. There's no business sense behind it. All sorts of art you can make money on. There's successful people all over the world doing it every single day. But I guarantee you they have a business model behind what they're doing in order to be successful. For every person that says it's not about the money, I would venture to say they would be a lot more happy if on the side they were making a few $100s extra every month, like selling a painting or like getting a check from SoundCloud or like iTunes or something, because they're selling their stuff to people that like it, and they're doing it the right way. Do I think that the marketing and the time spent on that takes away from the creativity in it? I don't think so. If you market it and you sell it, you have more resources to make your next project 100 times better, which is cool because that's the evolution of an artist. You know, like, if you only have the same tools, you will always and forever be limited. But if you keep expanding and growing and learning and acquiring more things, the more you can grow as a person and the more you can grow as an artist.
I mean, I guess if I could bring it down to like one thing, it's all rhythm. It's all kind of a rhythmic experience. And there's a rhythm to the world. And if you're aware of that and you're actually constantly on the lookout for that rhythm, you'll find the place where you ought to be.
It's a thing here, and it has been for as long as I've been here, so there's no reason it'll ever change. At its core, it'll happen. Which is nice. It's a nice feeling. It's a bit of security in a not so secure world, knowing that the Northwest will have some good music. Keep in mind, more bands suck than are good, though. I don't like to sit and toot Bellingham's music scene, the horn, you know, and talk about how great things are without, you know, the understanding that there are a lot of bad bands, and there are a lot of bands that just aren't as good as they think they are, but can be, you know? And that's one of the possibilities of music, I guess. And the possibilities of music, yeah. Maybe end up being Death Cab for Cutie, you know? Touring the world, playing stadiums. If that's what you want, it can happen. We've seen it.